Hi everybody, Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. How are you? Hey, so let me guess. You and your family are moving to Texas. Congratulations. Join the crowd. You're one of many, 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 many. But let's talk real briefly about if you've never been to Texas, what to expect when you get here, when you move here, and when you're going to live here. So before we get started, click notifications, follow me, like this video, and leave a comment. So you're moving here from wherever. California, we're going to pick on California a little bit, but California, Oregon, Washington State, New York, a lot of people are moving here for a wide variety of reasons. I'm not going to get into politics, but politics plays into this. Also, taxes, and the economy, and job growth, and opportunity, and weather, and where it's centrally located in the country. Lots of things play into why people want to move to Texas. So, let's talk a little bit about what you probably think about Texas. And what you probably think about Texas is what you've learned from Hollywood and the Hollywood stereotype of Texas. Hollywood, being in California, Hollywood wants to make you believe that everybody in Texas has cowboy hats, cowboy boots, and we all ride horses to work, okay? Not true. I've lived here all my life. I have ridden a horse. I was a teenager. I have a pair of cowboy boots. I don't know where they are. There would be people in my family that would be considered country, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want you to know that the stereotype, the Hollywood stereotype that's been planted in your brain about Texas is simply not true. Now, when you get out into the rural areas, absolutely. Absolutely, but you have rural areas in every state. But Texas has 3 of the 10 biggest cities in the country. And these cities are international, they're cosmopolitan, they're culturally diverse. So just don't believe that everything here is cowboy and country and that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, talking about genres, some of the biggest rock and roll stars in the history of rock and roll, ZZ Top, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Janis Joplin, they were all from Texas. So the culture is diverse. We don't all ride horses to work. The other thing I want to talk to you about is kind of the culture or the environment of Texas. You probably learned about the Alamo in school. And I would say the Alamo is a real thing in that the attitude of the Alamo in that people in Texas are willing to pay the ultimate price for their beliefs, and people in Texas are willing to follow their dreams. People in Texas don't want the government to take care of them. People in Texas want to have their own dreams, and they're willing to work hard to achieve those dreams. That's kind of the attitude I think you're going to find in Texas. It's just a independent, get out of my way, let me do my own deal, let me follow my own dreams. I don't need the government to babysit me kind of thing. So you're going to find that, Texas used to be its own country. And there are people that would actually like for that to happen once again. I don't see that happening, but we used to be our own country. But one of the things as far as culture that you're going to find is Texas is very friendly. It's a very neighborly state. People will just say hello. Complete strangers will say hello to you, and the complete strangers will ask you how you're doing, and people open up doors for each other. I mean, not just men opening doors for ladies, but just when you're walking in or out of a store, whoever's coming out as you're coming in will just stop and hold the door open for you. It's just our second nature. We're just raised that way. I've actually had clients move here, and they've actually called me and they said, would you believe my neighbor came over and knocked on my front door? And I thought I was in trouble. I thought maybe my dog had jumped the fence. They just came over to introduce themselves and say hi. He goes, we never had that from where we came from. So just a very friendly, neighborly environment. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers in Texas as far as the growth, the economy, taxes, and home prices. Now, let's start with home prices. I'm a realtor. So if I didn't talk about real estate and home prices, that would be a bad thing. People that move here from other states, they are amazed how far their home buying dollar goes in Texas. For instance, we're talking about, let's pick on California, a $300,000 house here in Texas. If you picked it up and moved it to California, it would easily be over $1 million. The housing market in California is absurd. That's just one of many reasons why people are leaving California and coming to Texas. You can sell your house in California or Washington or New York You come to Texas with a truck full of cash. You can buy your little McMansion here in Texas and still have hundreds of thousands of dollars to deposit. People love how far the home buying dollar goes in Texas. As far as growth, Texas is the #1 state in growth, population growth, for 3 years in a row. Texas has the #9 economy in the world. Texas has a bigger economy than most countries. Texas has the second biggest economy in the U.S., second only to California. But we're going to change that. California is going like this. Texas is going like this. It's just a matter of time before Texas becomes the #1 economy in the country as well. As far as family-friendly cities, there was a survey done of the top 10 most family-friendly cities in the United States. Would you believe Texas had 5 of the top 10 most family-friendly cities? The economy is almost always outpaces the rest of the country here in Texas. For instance, in 2008, when we had the Great Recession, parts of the country were crashing and burning and jumping off cliffs. It was horrible. Texas, we had a dip. We had a downturn, but as far as the real bad negative ramifications of the Great Recession, we just had a dip where everybody else was falling off cliffs. So the economy is almost always here. Our economy almost always outpaces the rest of the country. We have a diverse economy. So absolutely, we've got oil and gas, but we've also got finance and agriculture and high tech. Would you believe that Austin, Texas is now becoming the new Silicon Valley? You know, you've got the whole San Francisco, Oakland area, Silicon Valley in California. Do you realize that a lot of those major corporations are uprooting and they're moving to Texas, specifically Austin and Dallas. But Austin is becoming the new Silicon Valley. Taxes. Now, why would corporations and individuals be moving to Texas? Well, #1 is going to be taxes. Your tax burden in Texas, both your corporate tax burden and your individual personal tax burden, is going to be lower in Texas. We don't have a state income tax, which would save you 8.5%. So if you live in California, and I keep picking on California, but if you live there, by the way, do you know that a U-Haul trailer, if you're moving from California to Texas, costs twice as much as if you're going from Texas to California? What does that tell you? It tells you everybody's leaving there and coming here. But no state income tax here in Texas. Couple of last little things I want to mention to you. The weather. Your family or friends may have told you that it gets a little warm in Texas. And that's not a lie. June, July, and August gets a little warm. By a little warm, I would say in the 90s, and quite possibly triple digits would not be uncommon in June, July, and August. Okay, so that would be the most severe, extreme part of our weather. But what's nice about that is we have very mild winters, except we had a strong winter storm this last winter, which was one for the ages. But other than that, we have very mild winters. We do have 4 seasons. It's not always hot in Texas. It's not like California or Florida where it's always 85 degrees. It's not. We have 4 seasons. So in about October, it starts cooling off. During the winter, November, December, January, February, it's going to be highs in the 50s, lows in the 30s. It starts warming up eventually in about April, and then April, May, and then once we get into summer, June, July, and August, it does get hot, and then it cools back down. So we do have absolutely 4 complete seasons in Texas. Lastly, I want to do you a favor. I want to tell you 2 things that are going to help you fit in here in Texas more than anything else. Okay, you ready? #1, you have to start using the word y'all. Y'all is Y-A-L-L, y'all. Any more than one person is y'all. And you can use y'all in a multitude of different ways. It's like, would y'all stop doing that? What time are y'all coming over? What do y'all want to do? You can use it in a multiple different ways and different sentences, but it's y'all. No yous guys. Don't be bringing yous guys to Texas. It's y'all. That's the #1 way I can help. Here's the second way I can help. If you're going to move to Texas, when you cross over the Texas state border boundary, you have to become a Dallas Cowboy fan. And when you cross over the state border, there's going to be a guy there that's going to hand you out one of these cool little coffee thermoses. and you have to swear allegiance to the Dallas Cowboys. Actually, that's not true, but it should be. When my kids were growing up, they experienced the Cowboys winning 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. It's been, so shall we say, a little dry since then, but nothing wrong with more Cowboy fans. So anyway, with that being said, Texas is a big state. We always have room for a few more, and y'all come on. Happy to see you. Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. Anything I can do to be of help in your move or looking for houses, happy to do so. Brent Jones, 214-649-4528. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.